With me now to discuss is former Defense Secretary under President Trump, Mark Esper. Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you saw some of this earlier today at a rally in South Carolina. Trump went after Nikki Haley's husband, who is serving overseas right now. And during those comments, Trump said, where's Nikki Haley's husband and so on. That was Nikki Haley's reaction to that. What was your response when you heard what Trump had to say?
Yeah, good evening, Jim. Look, it's hard to understand why he would do that. What does he gain from that, particularly in a very pro-military state like South Carolina? And clearly her husband has served the military honorably. He was a combat vet from an earlier deployment in 2013 or so in Afghanistan, and has been on what will be a years-long deployment to Djibouti, right across, coincidentally, from Yemen. So he's not in some cush assignment somewhere. So look, her husband's serving honorably. I don't know why he would attack him like that. It just doesn't make any sense. And look, we also know that Melania hasn't been on the road at all with the former president. So none of this adds up. And look, I give Nikki Haley credit for her response back. Very, very tough, very firm. So good for her.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, we know this is part of a pattern with Donald Trump. I mean, it's been written in The Atlantic. It's been confirmed by us here at CNN that at one point Trump referred to soldiers buried in a cemetery in France as losers and suckers. Is there something more here than just an offhand comment here or there?
Like I said, I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know what he would gain from it. Maybe he's just poorly briefed on where her husband is and the fact that he's serving our country abroad. I mean, look, with regard to the broader issue, I never felt that Donald Trump understood the importance and virtue of military service, of, committing yourself to service in uniform to defend your country and your fellow Americans. It's just not something he understands or appreciated. So maybe some of that's in there, but this doesn't make much sense.
Is there an inferiority complex issue going on there or something like that? He feels inferior around people in the military because what they do is so admirable, and it just makes him feel like a smaller human being. I mean, I can't understand it. I can't fathom why he would talk about members of the military in that fashion.
Yeah, Jim, I can't understand it. If I did, I'm sure it'd be valuable information for a lot of people, but I can't explain it. It's something. Particularly for me, I served 21 years in uniform, went to West Point. It doesn't add up for me, importantly so. So I wish I could explain it to you and your audience.
Let me ask you about something that you might be able to explain. Trump also said tonight he would not defend NATO nations if they come under attack by Russia. Let's listen to this and talk about it on the other side.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
I mean, it's pretty astonishing, isn't it, to hear a former president of the United States at a political rally essentially say to the Russians, you can do whatever the hell you want to other NATO countries. You served under Donald Trump as Secretary of Defense. What is it with Donald Trump and NATO?
Yeah, look, I heard this multiple times, had many discussions with the president about this. I wrote about it extensively in my memoir and tried to explain to him the importance of NATO and our alliances and other partnerships around the globe. And look, he just sees it very transactionally, almost as if NATO is a country club. And if you don't pay your dues, then you don't get to use the spa or you don't get the golf. And that's kind of how he approaches things. And sees it very transactionally. Look, on one hand, though, I got to say, I agree with him in many ways. Not enough of our allies are living up to their commitments that they made. And this is not a new tune from Donald Trump or myself. Previous presidents have said it from Obama, Clinton, Bush, you name it. Only 10 or 11 are living up, out of 31 right now, are living up to their commitments. So he's right on the fact that our allies need to do more. But threatening to withdraw from NATO or not defend them is not the right answer. We need to incentivize them, encourage them. And look, at the end of the day, our partnerships and alliances benefit American security in the end, not just European security or allied security. It benefits the United States. Right. It preserves the international order, the rules and norms that have really, frankly, kept America prosperous and the American people, economically well off for many, many decades.
Well, maybe, Mr. Secretary, the better question for me, and forgive me, is what's with Donald Trump and Russia? What's with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin? Did he ever give you any indication behind the scenes why, whenever it comes to a question of dealing with Vladimir Putin, he just kind of wants to give away the store?
Again, another one I can't explain, but he does have a certain affinity to so-called strong people, strong men. He likes people who appear to be strong and despises those who he feels are weak. And he divided those up into camps, right? The strong would be Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping and Erdogan from Turkey. And the weak would be Merkel and Trudeau from Canada and others he would put into that category. So he just has an affinity for leaders he views as strong and having strength and authority, and others he sees as weak. And again, I can't describe it, but it is what it is. And it's something that as we look ahead to the 2024 presidential contest and the possibility that he may become president again, that Americans and importantly world leaders will have to take into account as they try to figure out how to deal with a new White House once again under Trump and the United States at that point in time.
Just a quick follow-up. I do want to turn to the Middle East, but just a quick follow-up. Do you fear that if Donald Trump gets back into the White House, that he will essentially give Putin the green light to invade a NATO country? Is that a real prospect that Americans should be worried about?
I wouldn't say it that way. I am concerned. I think it's likely that if he returns to the White House, he will completely cut off support for Ukraine. And that will begin the slow collapse of the alliance behind Ukraine and lead to their increased vulnerability against Russia. Further, I think at some point fairly soon, he would threaten that if our NATO allies don't live up to their financial commitments, that he would begin withdrawing troops out of their countries, as he ordered me to do with Germany in the summer of 2020. And so, again, that will undermine the alliance itself and really signal weakness and vulnerability to Vladimir Putin. So whether that leads to a conflict or what, I don't know. I hate to hazard a guess. But look, he will proceed along those lines, and it won't just be in Europe. I think he has concerns, deep reservations about our alliance and our relationship with other allies like Japan and Korea.
All right, Mr. Secretary, I'm being told we're out of time. I do want to talk about Israel and Gaza. We'll have you back. We'll do that next time. But in the meantime, Mark Esper, thanks very much for your time. We'll be right back. Appreciate it.